The books I'm going to compare are Those Shoes by Maribeth Boltz and Chicken Sunday by Patricia Polacco. So these books have kind of the same theme in them, and it's that the characters they want something that has monetary value, but they can't get it because they don't have enough money to uh, buy the product. So in Chicken Sunday, there's three children, and two of them are twin brothers, and the characters around here. And Stuart is one of the brothers, Winston is the other, and then the main character is a young girl, but they don't really say her name. Along with the other with those characters, there's Miss Eula, who is the grandmother of the three, but she's actually really only the grandmother of the brothers. And the main character, the young girl, her mother dies, so Eula sort of takes her in as her own. And then the other character is Mr. Kudinski, who is the shop owner that will come on later in the story. So these children want to buy an Easter bonnet for Miss Eula, their grandmother, because she has been admiring it for the longest time. They don't have enough funds though to buy the product. So they go to Mr. Kudinski's store, who is selling the Easter bonnet, and he opens a door when they get there, and kids throw eggs at Mr. Kudinski, and those kids take off. But he thinks that it is the three children that Miss Eula has. So they run back home and they tell Miss Eula what happened. They're crying hysterically, and they said, Mr. Kudinski thinks that we threw eggs at him, and it was really other children. So she tells them that they have to make it right. And they're brainstorming ideas of how to make it right and what to do. So they decided to make pisanki eggs, which are a European tradition where the eggs are it's sort of like Easter egg decorating, but the patterns are more precise and there's a wisdom to them. So they made 12 of these eggs and they brought them back to Mr. Kudinski. And they gave him the eggs, and he began to cry because he is from Russia and he is lonesome and left his family and has no one there. So he said that is the best gesture that he has ever received. So in return, he gives them jobs around the store, like sweeping and cleaning and stuff, because they told him that they want to buy the Easter bonnet for Miss Eula. And when they're done with that, he says, "You can make more money by selling these eggs." And they said, "We don't want to sell them because we made them for you." He said, "It's fine, children." So it was Easter, and they set up a little stand out front of the store, and they sold all the eggs to the community, whoever came up wanted to buy them. So they then had enough money to pay for the Easter bonnet. But instead, Mr. Kudinski didn't make them pay for the Easter bonnet. He just gave them it because they showed how kind-hearted they were, and they were willing to own up to something that they didn't do, but to try to clear the air and make things in a better situation. So they ended up getting the Easter bonnet for Miss Eula, without having to spend money that they made just because they made a good moral decision and decided to help out. Now, the other book is sort of the same way. It is Those Shoes, and the main character is Jeremy. And everybody in the school came into school one day with new shoes. They were black shoes with white stripes, sort of like Adidas shoes. They looked like in the pictures. And he really wanted a pair because all the other students had them, and they were picking on him for not having them. So he asked his grandmother if he would be able to get a pair of the shoes, and she said that they can't get those right now because she is saving her money for new boots for him for winter because those are more important because the winter's coming up and you need boots instead of shoes. So he decides that they are going to go and look around. They went thrift shopping. They went from a thrift store to thrift store after they went to a regular store and realized the price of the shoes. So they went to one thrift store and they found a pair for $2.50. But the issue was the shoes didn't fit him. They were way too small. Instead of just leaving the shoes and not getting them, he decides to purchase them with his own money and has to cram his feet into the shoes, and he can't actually wear them into school. So he has to resort back to his old shoes and wear those to school, even though he has a pair of the new ones. So he meets this kid in school named Antonio, and they were playing basketball, just shooting around, and he notices that Antonio has shoes that are held together with tape, and you can see a piece of the tape flapping while they're playing basketball. So he keeps telling himself, "Don't do it, don't do it." Just keeps saying it over and over again. And Antonio says, "What are you talking about?" And then he invited Antonio over to his house, and they were playing around. And Antonio noticed the shoes and says, "You have these brand new shoes. Why don't you wear them?" And he said, "Well, they don't fit me." So Antonio put them on and said they were a perfect fit. And then again, Jeremy kept saying, "Don't do it, don't do it." And Antonio went home. And later that day, Jeremy decides to take the shoes and put them in a box and bring them to Antonio's house. He put them on the doorstep and knocked and left. So Antonio got the new shoes and wore those to school. So he has the new shoes, and the only one that doesn't have them is Jeremy. And he's kind of upset about it because all the other students have it, but He morally did the right decision. The shoes were not able to fit him, so he was helping somebody else in need and making somebody else feel better at the expense of himself. So when the first snowfall comes, they are going outside for recess, and the teacher says, "Okay, students, leave your shoes in the hall and put on your boots." And then Jeremy realizes that he has brand new black boots that no other student has in the school. And then that makes him feel good because he did good for somebody else. And in return, without even thinking about it, he had the brand new pair of boots that his grandmother had bought him that no other student would have that would impress all the other students. So the poster kind of outlines it, if you can see. So the characters for those shoes are Jeremy, his grandmother, Antonio, and the school kids. And the problem that he has is Jeremy wants the same shoes that the other kids have, but he and his grandmother do not have enough money to purchase them. The solution, Jeremy gets the new shoes, but they are too small. He gives them to Antonio, who can fit them, and then Jeremy has a brand new boots that he realizes no other student has. So he has something that the other students don't have when at first he didn't have something that they all had. And the reasoning behind him giving the shoes is Jeremy gives the shoes he bought for Antonio because he notices that Antonio's shoes are not put together. So he thinks of somebody else before thinking of himself and making himself feel better. He realizes he can help somebody else. And then the theme I found with this book was help others that are in need and realize what you have. Instead of just fixating on what you don't have, realize what you do have in return. And then for Chicken Sunday, I already stated the characters in the book, but the problem is the children want to buy Miss Eula the Easter bonnet and that she likes, but they do not have enough money. So the solution, obviously, like I said earlier, they went and worked for Mr. Kadinsky and sold their Pisonki eggs so they could get enough money. And eventually, Mr. Kadinsky just gave them it for free because they showed that they had good morals and they were willing to help somebody else in return and instead. And the theme I found with this is if you do good for others, they may return the same favor. So I guess the books, they're kind of the same in that sense with their themes, even though Chicken Sunday is they help somebody else and in return that person gave them a reward. But in those shoes, it's kind of the same situation where he helped somebody else, but Antonio didn't give him anything in return or help him. But instead, him getting the new boots and making a decision to give his shoes away made him realize that he had something that no other student had. So that's how I think those two books are similar.